Warning: the following video contains content that may be inappropriate for children under the age of 13. If you are 13 years old or younger, please seek parental approval before watching this video. Thank you.
You're that thing.
Things have. We're recording. Hi, everybody! Cameraman, tell us we were recording. I guess we'll just start timer now. I wasn't ready. I'm not ready. I'm back.
You're back.
Anyways, welcome everybody to Brown Bear Interview, where we get questions. Be the Brown Bear and I, of course, Bill. Well, and we get the questions asked on particular searches, which we can make up. And who wants to start?
Oh, someone speak up.
Cameraman, what questions do you have?
Brown bear search.
Oh, make sure you're specific which brown bear too.
There's only Brown the bear or Bill the bear, so.
Right, I'm sorry. I'm a fool! I'm a fool! Anyways, continue.
Brown bear search the history of Roku.
The history of Roku. Wow, back in the ancient times, way back in another dimension, in the realm dimension, there was a guy named Cook. And this guy, he was just bored of life. He was sick of the realm dimension. So he came to this dimension. And he thought to himself, how could I make myself a living? And he thought, and think, and thought. And then he thought, I'll make do you. And he stepped out of his house and saw a guy with a wheel. He went crazy. He says, where did you get that from? He says, well, I don't know. I found it ground and it was round, so I just push it around. Yes. He didn't know where he came from. He went crazy. He just went absolutely nuts. So he went so crazy. He went up to a mountain, a great mountain, and he jumped off it.
Okay.
Yes, and he fell. Unfortunately for everyone, he didn't die. But he was knocked out for 5,000 years. And when he woke up, he realized, I realized what I can make. And he just went to work. He got the most brilliant minds in South Dakota. And he sat down and fought. They wrote books. They watched movies. They went to cinemas. They went to the mall. And one guy says, well, we met some of our root. And our guy said, cook. Root. Cook. Root. And he said, what would this be? And one artist said, well, it could be anything we want. And the other guy says, nonsense. Let's make it into a TV. Let's make into a TV show about a crazy guy with 5 dogs. And that's how the famous show Roku came about.
Okay.
It's a great show.
Great! That's a great...
Until the 8th season, it went down. It went down after that. Now we're at the 12th season, and it's just garbage.
Okay, I think you've had your turn, Brown Bear.
Bill Bear Search.
Oh, should have said anything!
No. Bill the Bear Search. The History of Mario.
The history of Mario! In the 1500s, there was a man growing up in the plains of Ireland. He called himself Mamma Mia! He went around every day greeting everybody with the phrase, Mamma Mia! And until one day, he met a mean old man. His name was Buyer. Because he just bought up everything. He bought up the lands, he bought up the fruits, and he bought up the dogs. He was a mean old man who would just buy. And he went off to face against, what was that? Mamma Mia! And when he heard the greeting, Mamma Mia, he just went a loco in the Coco. I should have thought of that voice a little bit better. Anyway, he just went nuts, though. And he just went after him, and somehow he magically breathed fire. It was because of a secret potion he had been drinking called Flame On. Mamma Mia jumped out of the way at the last second. And he dodged it, and then they began an epic battle between Mamma Mia and Buyer over the fate of Ireland. Yeah, just go with that. Who would win this epic battle? We weren't sure, because honestly, none of them were ever seen again. They just completely disappeared off the map. They blew each other up, and we just never saw anything after that. But the battle and the history lived on. And then in what year did I say? 1500. Then in 1765, a man in Italy known as Panaka found the history of the battle and decided that he would tell it to all the world. And over time, it became stories. They went from the historical to a legend to the myth. No one really knew of the origins and the original story anymore, and so they just imagined that it would be fought in more epic battles. Yes, as all stories seem to do, the more they're told, the more they're exaggerated. And so he just simply went to the battle between Mamma Mia and Buyer to a battle between dragons and other dragons named Mamma Mia. And then a crazy and then eventually in 1990 something, a man named the I can't pronounce his name. The guy Nintendo found it, and he thought, I could make a series off of this. And he's created Buyer, and he made Buyer to become Bowser, an evil reptile dinosaur thingy that nobody's really sure what the heck he is, honestly, who can breathe fire just like Buyer did. And he faced off against Mario, because the name Mamma Mia was already used, and he wanted to use something more original. and so, thus, Mario was born.
Alright.
I'm a little rusty at this.
Brown Bear Search.
Yep.
Oh, also to let you guys know, since this is technically our first one, these are not supposed to be historically accurate at all. Just wanted to point that out there.
What?
Alright.
Brown Bear Search. The History of Halo.
The history of Halo. Oh, well, that actually is a brand new history. It started in the late 20th century. Yes, by a Well, not crazy. What did I say? I'm crazy to say he's crazy. By a guy who's just normal. Completely, utterly normal. And people goes, man, you're normal. As I know, my name is Norm. Who's normal all the time. And do nothing else but normal things. Yes. He was kind of moping along.
Okay.
Even when he pulled it, the boy went boop, 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 and the fence go, boom.
The what?
Yeah, the boy does. He hit the boy fence when he fall, he go, boom.
Okay.
Yep. And then his brother came in and says, man, you're so normal. You're just playing. You need to add excitement to life. And Norman goes, yeah, you're right. I should do that. So he made programs across the universe. First off, he stopped at the moon.
Of course he did.
Yes.
Everyone stops at the moon.
It's the closest pit stop.
It's the closest pit stop. Okay.
And he goes, maybe I should pick somebody up. You know, that's because I said, I'll go around the moon.
Right.
Yep. And he picked up money. And then he went to the drama galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And it says,
he met Dylan Hunt.
These crazy space trees. There's so many overplays. How can I be normal with these space trees? So he left the drama galaxy. He went up to the Nebula.
Nimble Nebula? Is that what you said?
Nebula. People are always nimble. And he just went to dance and do cartwheels and other stuff, and you be nimble at. He goes,
right.
No goes, this place, I cannot fit it here. It's too unnormal. You hear his voice, his more voices. Norman, you can't do that assignment to your life. You can't just be normal. Normal. That keeps on echoing in his mind, which is almost drive him crazy. He goes, I am going crazy now.
He literally said, I am going crazy. I am crazy!
So he went to the most craziest spot in the world, the black hole.
In the world, this is the black hole right there. Found it! Ah!
They fell, and then he came out of it as a badass, known as Master Chief. And Master Chief, I need to defeat Sonic, for he has created the super dimension. Sonic, and the speed dimension. If he is
it was a super dimension too, and he created two things. He's a monster creator who created this crazy.
Actually, our guy made this super dimension.
Oh, okay.
Yep. But yeah, but I can't speak of that person.
Okay.
Yep. And he said, "How? Okay, I see that Sonic is creating these things called hills, and hills are evil because Sonic's evil." So he went out and started destroying hills. But when he went back to Earth, nobody believed him. So he created a game to warn everybody about Sonic. Unfortunately, Sonic stopped him. So he had another can call Halo.
About aliens fighting off an evil virus and nothing to do with Sonic at all.
That's what they want you to believe.
The old bear search.
Oh, here we go again.
The history of Banana Gun.
The history of Banana Gun. Oh. In Madagascar in 1732, there was a tribal fight against the and the over who owned the sacred octopus. Why they were fighting over an octopus, no one knows to this day. But they were. It was a sacred and holy octopus. And they needed a weapon. Well, for the ones who were fighting with sticks. The others started fighting with rocks. And the others started fighting with sticks and monkeys. They put the sticks in the hands of monkeys and threw them at the other side. It was the most hardening action. It's the most dangerous action that the have ever faced, and they needed something to counter it. Something that would be more powerful than the other group that I mentioned earlier, that it's kind of hard to remember that name. And so they searched far and wide, and they found weapons known as guns. But they had no bullets, no ammunition which they could fire the guns with. So they tried shooting everything. They tried shooting snails, but the snails blew up. They tried shooting leaves, but the leaves blew up. But then they found some still green bananas and put them in there. And for some reason, they didn't blow up. Until they hit a target many, many, many yards away. And so the Hakatikis loaded up all the guns they found with bananas, and they called it the Banana Gun! And they launched the bananas and had victories over the Hakatikis! The end. What did you expect? It's Banana Gun! I can't really expound on that.
Alright. Brown Bear Search. Oh, God.
What?
Oh, God. Go.
The history of history.
Histories of histories. Oh. There was so many histories. We can go through them all. Like the history of the banana gun.
Yeah, we'll expound on that some more.
History of Mario. History of Honey.
That's a good history.
Yeah.
The history of the round dimension. How it came and how it did
Becomes the square dimension.
and how it became and how the square heresy became.
I'm interested in that one. Let's change this. I actually think that's a much better. Let's look
the
into
history of histories is interesting because it was started by me.
Of course.
Yes, the history of histories. I always know all these histories because, man, if someone knew how to do this, tell them this. So I went on a quest. First off, I went to the drone dimension. And firstly, it was a square heresy started. It was a terrible time. The round people were fighting the squares. But the squares were undercutting the round people. They were coming up with devious plans and destructible weapons. Like the square house. And they were coming up with the square grenade was making people into bits. And round people can't be round when they're bits.
Okay.
Yeah, it's impossible. And they blew up when it became bits. So the round people, they came up with mushroom bombs.
Mushroom bombs?
Yes, the most devastating weapons they can destroy entire
Only
worlds.
second to Banana Gun.
They can destroy entire worlds with the mushroom bomb. When it
Really?
blew up, it makes everything round.
No.
Yes. And And I knew I had to get out of here because I don't want to die.
Okay.
Yes. So I went to keep on my shirts. And they came across with Batman. And I actually have a advice. He says, Batman says, you should go, keep on going your quest because I have nothing to say. So I kept on going my quest. And I realized, what am I going this quest for? I can just write it down. So I made a book of series called Histories of Histories. Which you can buy it with the first installment of a low price of $9.99.
The first installment of how many installments?
So it's the History of Histories. There's never any. Yes.
Never ending, okay.
Yep.
Bill Bear searched the history of honey.
Why do you want me to search? Oh, fine. In something 100 BC, whenever the Egyptians were around, because I don't know that time period, they needed, it was unbelievably hot. Much, much hotter than it was before. Or right now even. Yes, it was so hot that people would step outside and they would instantly just melt. Literally melt, just go, and that was it. There would be nothing left of them. And there would be nothing left. And they needed a way to protect themselves from this blistering heat. They tried many different things. They tried finding water and covering themselves with mud. And they'd step outside. But then the mud would dry and they'd be left as statues. Just frozen in the desert. So then they tried maybe making an armor suit out of tree bark. But they stepped outside and they would just catch on fire!
Oh no.
And then, so they tried maybe filling up, they thought maybe we'll take a bucket of water and pour it over our heads and then they will protect us. But when they stepped outside, the bucket of water turned into steam. Get the reference? Come on, it's pretty obvious! And then, my guy decided to switch hands because it's starting to hurt my shoulder.
Yes?
And then, hang on.
Okay.
So they tried, and then they tried the most daring assault, the most audacious thing they could try. They tried using brick from the ancient land of Bretonia. And they broke up the brick and put it over themselves, thinking that it would protect them. But what they didn't realize is that the second they step outside, the brick would protect them momentarily. But then they would get hot and hot and hot and hot and hot until they just instantly caught on fire again, just like with the tree bark. They were running out of ideas or what they could do, and then they found these mysterious creatures no one had ever seen before. They had... What are you doing? You're distracting me. They found... While searching around a garbage heap, they found these mysterious creatures they had never seen before. It was odd. What could they be? And they were all hovering around this round, circular object. Of what origins, of where it came, nobody knows. But one random person, which is literally, I just got to make a side note, literally there's a History Channel that literally just said, yeah, so they threw seed out there, and she's our mother, some random person, believe us. That's literally it. Just wanted to point that out there. So I'm not crazy when I say it like that. Some random person jammed his hand in this mysterious circular thing, and got stung 1,000 times! And went running outside, and of course, like always, melted into a puddle. But not his hand, because his hand was covered in a mysterious yellow substance. Or golden, I'm not sure what color honey is. Is it golden substance that did not melt his head. And they realized that the honey would make them invincible because it contained something that made them invincible. They called it invincibility fluid. And they covered themselves up and they lived forever until, unfortunately, out of nowhere, they heard, "Gotta go fast!" And the entire area was decimated into a storm cloud. And they protected them and completely changed the environment so that they could step outside without melting into a puddle. And they thought what to do with these invulnerable fluid that they had found. And one random guy stuck it in his mouth and said, "This is tasty. And I shall name it after my daughter, Hunita." And so forth, therefore it became known as honey.
Oh, yeah, I like that history.
Yeah, I did too. That's the most semi-coerced thing I've made so far.
And with that,
Yes?
brown bear search YouTube.
YouTube?
YouTube.
YouTube!
Whoa, YouTube. Wow, it's so vast, the history. It started way, way back, before even Earth was made.
Okay.
Back when there were still suns, there were light balls in the sky. It was an ordered time where everything was organized. Like, the planets were made of rock and water and air. And they were separate, yet they were equal in two parts. So we got one part that was all water, one part that's rock, and one part that's all air. Yeah.
Amazing!
The people who lived there were slugs, there were dragons, elves, there were even Bob. Bob. It was an exciting time. A time of adventures. A time of wonders. A time of fantasy. It is so great. You had like a guy named Link who can then fuck dragons and caterpillars.
Caterpillars?
Until he was defeated by the most fearsome enemy. The one we cannot speak of.
Okay.
Yes. So I can't.
You keep referencing the guy you can't talk about all the time.
Yeah. Well, it was great until Sonic, who got bored of this time. It says, "Time to make a speed dimension!" And when he made a speed dimension, the light bulbs burst into suns. The planets became chaotic. And the ground was formed, and oceans were created, and the sky was made. And then the earth was bought by Mario. Yes. It was crazy, a happy time. There were people who were crazy, dinosaurs are catching on fire. Gas, barking, and of course, guinea pigs for selling real estate and also beans.
The beans?
It was havoc.
Guinea pigs are selling real estate.
Oh, one snake was sick of it because I just want order back. I want order. So,
what were we talking about?
to bring order back, he goes, "Okay, I'm gonna make a thing where you can put things on, but it's going to be in the air, but not really in the air, but on, where it'll be on screens. Then he came up with the internet. Then his brother, the lizard, he goes, man, if I only can see stuff that, like pictures, but they move. And he goes, then, yes, that's why, he goes, hey, I can come up with a thing called a website. I heard about it from my
spiders.
Spiders. He came up with that. He goes, okay, I need a good catchy name. And he goes, And he walk around. And he tripped on the tube and goes, ow! Hey, that's my tube. Not my tube. That was not my tube. That was my brother's tube. That's your tube. YouTube. And that's how YouTube came about. Until you saw it to a thing called Google. We now don't speak of Google.
Oh, he's the one we should not speak of. But use mobile!
Ah!
Now you get attacked!
No! I gotta eat my hand.
Brother, stop!
Gotta eat my hand.
No, you don't have to. Stop!
If I speak his name, I got the hand.
Stop
It's
eating.
oral. Hold on. I'll just keep on. I'll just keep on eating my hand.
We'll take this out of the kids section. Don't try this at home, kids. Or don't find this at home, teens. Who's ever watching this?
We're being
Bill
watched right now.
Bears.
I'm kind of nervous for that. Stay fried.
Bill the Bear Search.
That's me. What are you worried about?
The history of Minecraft.
The history of Minecraft. In the early 20th century, there were a bunch of seagulls that surrounded an area.
Ooh.
And they all demanded the same thing. Mine.
No.
No one knew what it meant. But they would all chase after everybody, every single day, going, mine. The people knew they needed a way to fight back against the terrible threat that the seagulls were presenting, and so they came up to the person known as L.H.P. Lovecraft. And he came up with some scary books. The scary books didn't help against the seagulls, but that's another story altogether. Anyway, so they went to another person. His name... They realized that this Lovecraft guy, he wasn't going to help them. So they needed something else. And they thought, well, what could scare them? What could scare the seagulls away so much that they would never dare come back again?
Yes.
And then one of the fellow people called Stevophilus came up with the idea of crafting, the ability to make things that he could use against them. Weapons unimaginable by today's scales, much more technologically advanced than even you could even think of.
Lies.
But unfortunately, as soon as he finally came to these great discoveries, he heard, "Gotta go fast!" and was completely wiped off the planet.
Oh no.
But then they met a woman by the name of Alexia. And she continued on with Stevophilus' idea of the ability to craft things. But she realizes that she could not do it above ground because every time that she would get above ground, she would be attacked by the seagulls chasing her going, mine, 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 mine. And so she went underground by digging straight down, continually, again, just straight down. Unfortunately, somebody never told her to stop digging, and eventually she found the lava and melted, and we lost Alicia. But then another man found about the crafting idea named Ben. And Ben came up with the greatest idea ever. To stop the seagulls once and for all. He would create the most dangerous weapon of all. He got some of the materials. He made them into a powerful machine. And he calling it craft after all the fallen crafts before him. And he turned their own word against them. And he fired the weapons at them. He fired the weapon at them, shooting millions upon millions of dangerous pieces of sharpened lumber coming straight at all the seagulls that destroyed them all while shouting, mine, 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 and obliterated all the seagulls in a single day. He called the weapon Minecraft.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm not my brother. This is the best I can do.
That was actually pretty good. But,
What?
Brown Bear Search Cthulhu.
Cthulhu.
Speaking of Lovecraft.
Yeah, Lovecraft. Well, everybody knows about Lovecraft, but nobody knows about where he got the deal of Cthulhu. It was during Squire Heresy, when everything was disaster. The squares, those deceivable people, they wanted to defeat the round people. Using everything necessary. Using bombs. Using the ambushes. Overwhelming odds. Buy real estate from guinea pigs. And still, they were really perceived through war really winning. So one named Squaw. He came up with the most deceitful thing ever. Nightmares. They create nightmares. And then things of tentacles and eyes. And disagreeable personalities. And he came into resistance. And he came out after not just the round people, but he came after the square people too. And they had to work together to defeat such horrible things. One of them tried to speak. This poor. It went, goo goo gaga. People laughing. It says, that's not scary. He cried. He went to the corner and cried. He came back. It says, louder, folks. And they laughed, go, ha 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 ha. And he crawled back, crying like a little baby. And he came out. And he goes, Minecraft. He goes, ha ha ha, that's not really scary. And he came out, and he goes, oh. And then my cousin goes, hey, that's my copyright thing. And he went back crying. But you realize he came up with the most scariest thing. And he came out and this cop. And he was came out describing things that are metaphorical in nature. And they were driving everyone crazy. And when he drive crazy, they go, Cthulhu, 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 Cthulhu. Yes. And you had to throw them into mental hospitals. Yes. And one person that was working there, his name was Lovecraft. He was interested in this. He says, you know what? I could make a story from this. And that's where he came up with his Lovecraft stories. Unfortunately, he didn't really make that much money. Yeah.
Okay.
Silence!
We're waiting on our next one.
Okay, so Bill the Bear search
Oh, here, okay.
Pokemon.
Pokemon!
Oh.
In 1347, there was a man. In 1342, in 1347, in the rural area of Jamaica, there was a man. His name was Poke, for he would spend all days poking things. He would poke a person, poke a rock, poke a tree. He would just poke. And then he would have a greeting. His greeting was, he learned the name Mr. Poke. It was simple. But to the natives, they called him Pokemon. He was a simple average man, spending his life poking things all around until one day he poked something he shouldn't have. Something that became angry and chased him down. It was a wildebeest! We don't know why a wildebeest was in Jamaica. It was someone brought it from a wrong place. Brown bear.
I'm scared by wildebeest.
Okay. Brown bear, come on.
Okay.
But that's okay. Because even though he was chased by the wildebeest, and he ran for miles and miles and miles and miles trying to get away from him, all yelling for help. Unfortunately, since he spent all this time poking, people didn't want to spend time with him. And so he never really learned the proper language. So he was just running around going, Poke, 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 Poke. No one knew what this meant. Everybody was scared that maybe he had lost his... Well, they actually figured he already lost his mind spending all his days poking things. But no one knew that he was in danger. And so eventually he had no choice. He had to get the wildebeest to stop following him somehow. He had to escape. And so he dived into a river, figuring that the wildebeest wouldn't follow for some reason. We don't know why he thought this, but he just thought that. Anyways, but he went into the river, but he realized that the river was at a full current, and he was taken away! He was able to escape the wildebeest, but he was not able to escape the river, and he traveled for miles and miles and miles down the river until he eventually was washed up on a strange and eerie land, nothing he'd never seen. But then he saw something no human had seen before. Crazy little creatures that would come after him and would speak in a single word all the time. They would say, blah blah, pika, cuckoo, yay yay. These were early versions, of course. As the years went on, they became more refined and we got actual names. But at the beginning, no one really knew what they were saying. But he did find that he could capture them by simply throwing a box at them, and they would just stop.
Oh.
And then, over a year, he was able to become a society. He was able to lead others somehow. Somehow he found others, and they were willing to follow this man who poked things all day long, and found these magical creatures who would be captured by foxes. And over years and years and years and years of technological advances, they eventually became the Pokemon you know today.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow. Wow. Brown Bear Search. Warhammer.
Warhammer?
Yes.
Oh, you give him the easy one, okay. Go ahead.
During the times of the ancient times, they had, of course, Link slaying the dragons and caterpillars. They also had many other heroes. And Link is pretty normal now, but he wasn't the biggest hero back then. There was another hero. And his name was simply known as Hero. Because he was the greatest hero ever!
Yes!
He could punch light bulbs with one hand!
Okay.
He could go after ants who were 60 feet tall during the time. Ants fell as a race.
Yeah.
Pretty small now. But they were pretty big. They were organized. They could create rocket ships. Yes, by using their imagination. And the rocket would come out of their heads. Yes. And he said, you know what? We are the greatest race ever. And he was trying to conquer the whole known universe at that point.
But then they heard, gotta go fast!
Actually, this is before that.
Oh, okay.
Yep. But, the hero, you heard about their despicable ways. He pointed to them and says, I will stop you. And he goes, nah, you can't stop us. We're ants. And that's when he came up with guns come out of heads and shot to shoot him. Hero, realizing he was in a difficult situation, he started dancing and get out of there as fast as he can. He realized, oh boy, these ants, they mean business. So he flew to the Avid world, a world that was just one big anvil. Yes, then he goes to the person who was operating this anvil. It was no other but a fairy. The fairy goes, hey, what do you want? He goes, the ants, they're crying, care for the whole entire universe. And their fairy goes, well, what do you want me to do about it? Can you give me something? He goes, I'll give you a boot. Give him a boot. He went up, he hit the ants with the boot, and the ants got even more upset. They put out cannons on their heads and shot them. He somehow dodged that. Accuracy. He went, that was nothing. Give me something good. He goes, all right. You just stop by me. Okay, I get this hammer. Now I'm gonna make it more dangerous. He pounds the hammer on the apple constantly. He goes, okay, now this hammer is made for war. And the guy ran after him. And what he didn't realize, the ants were afraid of hammers. He goes, oh no, hammers are old and weakness. And he ran from him. And he ran so fast, he became small and smaller and smaller. And that's how they became ants of today. And lost their magical abilities. But someday, the ants will grow back. And since heroes die after Sonic blew up that era, someday a new hero will rise. What the Bill! Come on, not Bill. Someone magical. Someone inspiring. His name will be
Bob!
incredible. Invisible. His name would be Bob.
Oh, Bill and Bob's not good, but the is the name. Are we out of searches?
Yeah.
Brown bear search.
What?
Bill.
Bill the bear?
Yeah, Bill the bear. I got him too confused.
Bill the bear. Okay. I'm here.
Bill the bear search. Bob.
Oh!
Bob! Oh, Bob! Are you Bob? Bob!
Alright then,
No.
Bob and Joe.
No, I'll do Bob.
You're insane.
But it's just
Bob.
You speak of the name Bob. Oh, back in the great BC time of 14, there was a man. The most dangerous man alive. His name was Bob!
Oh!
And he was dangerous because he could destroy entire cities simply by saying the name Bob!
Oh!
Explosion would happen and destroy everything within a 3-mile radius.
Oh.
But at first no one knew this. They thought he was just a normal guy. So he walked into a normal city, said hi to everybody, and they asked him his name. And he said, I cannot tell you that. They asked why. He said, because strange things happen when you say my name.
Oh.
And though they tried guessing his name, but he thought, no one would guess my name, for it is just too simple. Nobody would just be called Bob. And so everyone tried for hours and hours and days guessing the name. The most smartest people in the city came to guess the name. But it was a lone child by the age of about 12 years old who just simply said for fun, Bob. The next thing you know, explosion!
Oh.
And everybody was instantly destroyed except for Bob, because he could somehow survive it due to a magical property he contained called invulnerability. Invulnerability. It's a really hard word to say. It's something to do with vulnerability. Apparently, that's a hard word to say too. Anyways, but everywhere you go, everywhere he went, he would destroy. That is why Bob is the name that should not be spoken of. You may, yes. And that's what you don't realize, brother. I tried to warn you. I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen. You created 1,000,000 Bobs, and all they had to do is say Bob's name once in an area that isn't here, because this must be a defective Bob, because he didn't blow up. But
well, he's evil.
The evil Bobs have ability to not blow up because they're evil.
They forgo their abilities to be evil.
To be evil, yes. They gave up in turn to be evil. But the non-evil Bobs, of which now there are 900,999 of, all have to say one person, say Bob, and we will have half the world destroyed thanks to you!
Oh!
Why?
I'm sorry. I just want to be famous.
Oh, you'll be famous, all right. You'll be infamous!
But if I contact Hero, looks like he's dead already. If I contact Lake, I could go back in the past.
You could do that. It is possible. But Link, unfortunately, is nowhere to be found. He's sleeping for some reason, awaiting to be awakened by some magical force in a Nintendo Switch game. We don't know what really what's going on there, but he's asleep right now, so he won't be able to do it. Your only hope, you have one hope. You must lead all the Bobs into an open area far from civilization or any person who could get hit. And then summon the name of Sonic, and Sonic will come crashing down and destroy all Bobs before they have a chance to explode.
Okay. You're up with this, evil Bob? I know you don't like door Bob, so...
Sure.
Okay, die for it once! Adventure awaits! Waits!
Well, I guess that's a good point at any to come on this Brown Bear search to a close. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you in the future.